Vancouver Canucks are facing a franchise-altering catastrophe. This isn't a minor setback. It's a crisis that could set the team back by a decade. Their number one center is a multi-million-dollar question mark. The prospect pool is shallow, at least for the most part. Thank you, Jim Benning. And the 2026 draft isn't the answer. But a golden ticket does exist that could save them and build a dynasty. The 2027 NHL entry draft, this is a historically deep class that fits Vancouver's biggest need. Today, I'll explain why the Canucks must go all in on 2027 to save their future. Vancouver's retool, hybrid retool, whatever you want to call it, has failed. The franchise is stuck in hockey purgatory, not good enough to contend, but not bad enough to land a top draft pick. At the heart of this is a structural hole at the number one center position. Modern Stanley Cup winners are built around an elite 1C, a Sidney Crosby, a Nathan MacKinnon, a Sasha Barkov. The Canucks, they don't have one of those guys, and help isn't coming from within their current system, at least not right now anyway. In this video, we'll break down why the current roster is failing, why the 2026 draft just isn't the solution, and we'll lay out a blueprint for stockpiling 2027 first-round picks. We mean that plural, picks, for survival and future success. By spring 2026, the Canucks, of course, are a directionless bottom dweller. They've locked up last place in the league and are guaranteed a top 3 pick in this year's draft. Now, trading Captain Quinn Hughes for a package that involved Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, Liam Öhgren, as well as a first-round pick, that signaled a franchise reset. Rossi, who has been a bright spot, a smart, responsible two-way forward who projects as a solid second-line center for the next decade. But is that his ceiling? He's definitely a complementary piece, but is he a cornerstone, and is he capable of being a true 1C, that to which we do not have the answer to right now? That said, this puts the spotlight, of course, on Elias Pettersson. Since his massive 8-year, $11.6 million extension in 2024, his production has absolutely cratered. His 100-point season in 22-23 now looks like a frustrating, unrepeatable outlier at this point. With 6 years left, that contract, it's an anchor. And an $11.6 million cap hit for a non-elite 1C can sink the ship. So you look to the pipeline, but the well is a little bit dry. Top prospect Braden Coots, like Rossi, projects as a high-end 2C, potential 3C. He has the motor and hockey IQ, but does he have the game-breaking offense of a true 1C? Let me know in the comments. Players like Rossi and Coots make a team harder to play against, but they don't win championships. Champions are built around elite centers like your Connor McDavids or your Austin Matthews, despite neither of them having actually won a championship just yet. That said, without one of those types of players, the team's foundation is unstable. The natural reaction for a struggling team is to tank for 2026 or tank for McKenna, which the Canucks have done. For the Canucks and their specific problem, this is a strategic mistake. The 2026 draft is loaded with talent, but on the wings and defense. The top two prospects, Gavin McKenna and Ivar Stenberg, they're elite play-driving wingers. McKenna is a dynamic playmaker, while Stenberg is a cerebral tactician who produced at a historic rate in the SHL. Passing on them would, of course, be an organizational malpractice. Just below them, in the next tier, features foundational defensemen like Keaton Vierhoff, Chase Reed, Albert Smets, and Carson Carrolls. These are great players, no doubt, but they don't fill the void at center. Now, the consensus top center in the 2026 draft, at least in my opinion, is Caleb Malhotra. He's a smart, competitive two-way player, but scouts question his elite offensive ceiling. His skating lacks explosive, game-breaking acceleration, and there are legitimate questions about his ability to create his own offense. He projects as a high-end second-line center, a Bo Horvat light type of player, not a superstar. Drafting Malhotra in the top 3 would be a massive reach, passing on a potential superstar to fill a positional need with a player who doesn't solve the core problem. The 2026 draft adds a good piece, but the 1C hole remains. Now, this is the 2027 NHL entry draft. The buzz, we're not landing to it. 27 class is historically loaded with the leaders. Scott Wheeler of the Athletic actually noted that 15 of his early top 25 prospects for 2027 were centers. It's not just quantity, it's the elite quality up at the top. Leading the charge is Alexis Joseph, a 6'5". Yeah, you heard that right. 6'5" QMJHL phenom with an unreal combination of size, hands, and skating. Scouts see him as a dominant player with all the tools of an elite 1C. Now let's take a look at Alexis Joseph, just so you guys can get an idea of, what this kid has. So let me just bring this up here. So again, as I mentioned, 6'5", 201 pounds, 16 years old. I can't even pronounce that, but he's from Quebec. He's French Canadian, shoots left. And then let's take a look at his stats here. So his 21-22 season, 17 points in 7 games. 22-23, 65 points in 30 games. That same season, he had 3 points in 3 games for the QM17 AAA. In 23-24, he had 53 points in 39 games. In 24-25, he had 56 points in 42 games. Then his first season in the QMJHL for the St. John Sea Dogs, he had 60 points in 54 games. And then with the WHC 17 for Canada Red, he had 13 points in 5 games. Then take a look at some of this playoff stuff right here. 3 points in 4 games in 25-26. 6 points in 4 games, 14 points in 8 games, and then 2 points in 2 games. So this kid has got lots of potential right here, but he is not the only one who is going to be in this draft. There's also Milan Sundström, who is a skilled, yes, you guessed it, Swedish playmaker, granted exceptional status. Now let's take a look at Milan Sundström here real quick. Milan Sundström, 6'2", 187 pounds, also 16 years of age, and as well as a left shot center. He's a cerebral tactician, a heavy shooter, and a two-way center. Now let's take a look at his stats here. In 23-24 for Moto Hockey U16, he had 46 points in 23 games. Down here, he has 4 points in 3 games for the U16 SM League, 8 points in 7 games for the J18 region, 2 points in 1 game for the U16 SM in 24-25, 28 points in 20 games for the J18 region, 14 points in 17 games for the J18 National, 2 points in 3 games for the J20 National, and for the International Junior, he had 10 points in 10 games. In 25-26 for the U18 region, he had 32 points in 16 games. For the U20 National in 25-26, he had 20 points in 12 games. And then WHC 17, 5 points in 4 games. And then for the International Junior, he had 22 points in 15 games. Not too shabby. No, I'll admit I do like Joseph a little bit more than I like Sundström, but keep in mind, we're still about a year out from this draft, so that could very well change. And still, keep an eye out for this kid, though, for sure. Then there's also Carter Meyer from the USNTDP, who is a relentless 200-foot player with high-end skill. And let's take a look at Carter Meyer here. Share this. Oh. But 176 pounds, also a left shot center, 16 years of age, from Winchester, MA, USA. So he's got Canadian blood in him and US blood in him. So he's got dual citizenship, I believe. But for the Boston Junior Eagles, for the 13U AAA, he had 18 points in 12 games. And then for the Rivers School in 23-24, he had 39 points in 30 games. 70 points in 28 games for the Rivers School in 24-25. Then for the U.S. National U17 team, he had 45 points in 41 games. For the U.S. National U18 team, he had 18 points in 22 games. For the U.S. NTDP Juniors in the USHL, he had 37 points in 42 games. For USA U17 at the World Hockey Championship, he had 10 points in 4 games. And of course, he will be attending Boston University in 28-29. So be on the lookout for this kid as well. But we have one more player that I want you guys to take a look at. And there's Jackson Jacobson, who is a supremely creative forward, granted exceptional status in the WHL, joining names like your Connor Bedard and your Connor McDavid. Let's take a look at his stats here real quick. There we go. Sorry, just share. Boom. All right, here's Jackson Jacobson, and this kid in particular has caught my eye. So if we go down here and take a look at his bio here, 5'10". Yes, he's a little on the short side. Another left-handed shot. He's from Brandon, Manitoba, Canada. So he's another Canadian. He's 17 years old. And let's take a look at his stats, because these are what really popped out to me. In 21-22 for the Brandon Wheat Kings U15 AAA team, he had 103 points in 32 games, 50 goals, 53 assists. In 22-23 for the U18 team, he had 60 points in 44 games. In 23-24 for the U18 AAA, the following season, he had 106 points in 35 games. Then he joined the Brandon Wheat Kings of the Western Hockey League, and he had 6 points in 7 games. Then his first full season with the Brandon Wheat Kings, he had 44 points in 51 games. He played for Canada Red U17 at the World Hockey Championships, where he had 4 points in 4 games. And then this past year in the WHL, he had 85 points in 63 games, 25 goals, 60 assists. And on top of that, he collected 4 points in the playoffs that season as well. Just look at these numbers: 103, 106, 60, 44, 85. This kid looks like an absolute stud. So definitely be on the lookout for Jackson Jacobson, because I know I'm going to be keeping an eye out for him in next year's draft, as well as this upcoming season for sure. Now, on that note, the 2027 draft is the best chance in a decade to fix the team's biggest problem. The center talent is so deep that a pick late in the top 10 could very well land a superstar. The plan can't be just one lottery ticket. The Canucks must acquire multiple first-round picks for this historic draft. So, how do the Canucks get these precious picks? It requires a disciplined and sometimes painful 2-year plan. Their own 2027 first-round pick will likely be in the lottery, or at least hopefully, but in a draft this deep, just one isn't enough. First and most controversially, they must explore the trade market for, of course, Elias Pettersson. His $11.6 million cap hit isn't anchored, like we mentioned. If he's not an elite player, with the salary cap rising, his contract becomes a little bit manageable for a contender seeking a change of scenery star. The return must be massive and centered around a potential 2027 lottery pick. Now, secondly, they must leverage Minnesota's 2026 first-round pick from the hypothetical Hughes trade. As the 2026 draft nears, a win-now team with a GM on the hot seat might trade their 2027 first to move up for a talent like McKenna or Stenberg. The allure of an immediate blue-chip prospect could pry away that coveted 2027 pick, especially if the Canucks aren't able to get somebody they want with that Minnesota pick. Now, I'm not completely suggesting this second option because I would like them to obviously not trade that pick and use that pick. Maybe use something else to try and acquire a additional 2027 pick, maybe later on, in the actual season. But here's a third option. They need to master the Allvin method, and that's weaponize their cap space. With Pettersson's contract off the books, the Canucks would gain financial flexibility, use it to sign useful veterans to short, high-value contracts, then flip them at the trade deadline to contenders for future picks, retaining salary in these deals, turning a $4 million player into a $2 million player for a cap-strapped buyer can significantly increase the return, potentially turning a third-round pick into a first-round pick in 2027. Now, the Vancouver Canucks are lost at sea, stuck in the NHL's middle ground, missing the most vital piece of a contender, a true franchise-altering number one center. Now, Pettersson's contract is an anchor. We keep mentioning that. The prospect pipeline is insufficient, and the 2026 draft is a false hope. The one clear chance to right the ship is the 2027 draft, a class that appears historically deep with the exact player that this franchise so desperately needs. Now, the path forward is clear, though not for the faint of heart. The front office must do everything in its power to acquire multiple first-round picks for 2027. This means exploring difficult trades, making shrewd asset swaps, and patiently building a war chest of draft capital. It requires nerve and a steadfast commitment to the long-term vision. For the Vancouver Canucks, 2027 isn't just another draft, it's the draft that will define the next decade of this franchise, at least in my opinion. What do you think of this blueprint? Is this plan, is it too risky, or is it the only way forward? Let me know your thoughts and your own plan in the comment section down below. That said, thank you guys for watching. On your way out, like the video and subscribe to The Line Change for more daily Canucks content. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.